All right, I think I'm live. Hey everybody, Danielle Everett here, your Charlotte realtor. And if you're watching this, it probably means you're interested in real estate. You love data and facts and understanding what's going on in the world. So I keep hearing a lot of buzz about the market's cooling down and the world's going to end. And I finally took the time to put some awesome things together to really educate you. And the rule number one in real estate is, remember, real estate is very hyper local. So I am just gonna give me a second because we are live and I don't like have anyone helping me do these slides. So we are just gonna see, how do I do this? Like this. Okay. But if you're joining at the end, we will have some time for some questions and answers. So, and I'm going to have a very special guest we're going to bring on shortly. Just going to do a quick overview and then we're going to jump right in. So obviously inflation is everywhere. I saw a lady at the grocery store yesterday who didn't want to buy avocados because they were $7. And we are dealing with supply chain bottlenecks, stimulus, post-pandemic recovery, and labor supply, energy. It's just everywhere. It's all kind of happening all at once. So the big question is, are we headed for a recession? And I think when we hear the term recession, we all panic and think about the Great Depression or 2008. And oops, I messed that up. La la la. All right, but I like this guy, JP Morgan. Jimmy, he says it's short term. So, quick history lesson is, 2008 happened because of, that was a real estate related crash. It was the mortgage industry, no doc loans, all sorts of craziness. That's what caused this. What we are dealing with now is completely different. And Charlotte, at least right now, we're just trucking along, enjoying the storm. So, you just need to get that out of your mind that anything that happens from the real estate side is not going to be drastic like it was in 2008. So that's your major takeaway I really want you to take home today. It's going to be, I love this, a modest recession. All right. So that's a good little slide to look at. And we are starting to see here at the local and national level, sales are definitely declining and we have less inventory. And we've been every agent has been talking about that for the past 2 years. So that is not new news. All right, but the good news is the unemployment rate is coming back up. So that is helping. And back to our record low inventory. So with this lovely slide, I am going to bring Jeff, who is amazing. He is my go-to lender here. Let me just figure out how to do the screen, Jeff. There we go. There we go. Here's Jeff. Okay. So I'm going to let Jeff take over because he is living and breathing the lending side. And any awesome agent is going to say, yeah, talk to your lender. So this is where Jeff comes in. So Jeff, just go ahead and tell the folks what you're seeing as far as buyers here at the local level and how it's affecting the home buying process.
Thanks, Danielle. I appreciate you guys letting me be a part of this. So seriously, we have a lot of people that call us and they're like, hey, is this, another 2008? Are we headed towards a recession? Should I pause on buying right now? And the answer, honestly, is no. In my opinion, if you look at the data, and this is some of the stuff that was shared with us, and it's very important to compare the past to where it is currently, because when the crash happened in 2007, and I know, Danielle, you mentioned it, we literally had loans for people because there was some economic policy in place to try and help buyers be able to qualify for loans. So there was literally stated income loans where you could state your income to whatever you needed it to be to qualify. There was no income, no asset loans. There was all kinds of unique products and programs that were available that honestly, as soon as people found out about it, they took advantage of it, right? Mm-hmm. But in that time, you look at it and you see in 2007, there was a peak of 3.7 million homes for sale. So like when all this stuff crashed, when the Great Recession happened in 2007, 2008, you had 3.7 million homes for sale. So there was an oversupply of homes and you had high demand, right? But then you look at today and you've got 870 homes that are listed for sale. So, I don't know if you clicked on another slide, but there's some other stuff that I wanted to share.
I was so into the presentation, I forgot I was supposed to be clicking the slide. Okay.
No, you're fine. But here's the thing that it's very important that I feel like people need to understand. Number one, never in history and like in the history of the housing market, people are sitting on more equity in their homes than they ever have in the history of home ownership. That's huge. So I feel like very strongly that we have got a substantial amount of people that are sitting there like, man, we are sitting on a lot of equity that I either, I'm about to be an empty nester and I don't necessarily need this much square footage. I'm ready to, maybe scale down. Hey, I'm ready to take that step up. I bought my starter home. I've got $100,000+ in equity. What do I do? Couple that with, you look at this, and this is pretty interesting to me. The average age of a first-time home buyer is 33 years old. So you had in the Gen X in 2006, look at the number of people that you had. You had 55 million first-time home buyers coming into the market, right? Mm-hmm. But then you fast forward to today, there's even more. There's 66 million people that are turning 33 years old, which is that average age of a first-time home buyer. So you've got a tremendous amount of people that are coming into the market that are wanting to buy. And I'll tell you this without a singular doubt, I feel very strongly about this. People are going to buy homes no matter what. And when you start comparing that to the rising rates, and I also think it's pretty important as we're talking about interest rates, because interest rates is a hot topic for everybody. Please know that the 50-year average, Freddie Mac publishes their history of interest rates. The 50-year average, as long as they've been publishing interest rates, is 7.8%. And at that 7.8%, people were paying 1.2 discount points to get that. Right. Mm-hmm. So since 2000, very important that people need to understand this. The average interest rate's 4.93. So we're right in that average from 2000. But so we've got a tremendous amount of people coming in. And then I also wanted to, because I just think it's important for people to have some peace of mind, because if you look here, what this is showing a number of households. So in 2021, we had 129 million people versus in 2007, when people are comparing it to that, right? Oh my God, this is terrible. This is like 2007. Well, in 2007, we had 116 million households. So we have literally a huge difference. We have 14 more million people of homes, of people that own homes that are looking to turn it over, right? And then you've got a situation where we've got a tremendous amount of millennials that are coming in, our first-time home buyers are coming into the market. So I do feel like Charlotte is so primed in such a wonderful area. The surrounding counties is such an incredible opportunity for people to buy, because I feel like it is such a tremendous opportunity to catch in here. So where was that?
Sorry, I messed up. Here you go.
You're fine. Yeah, no, this is another slide that shows the average. When you look at the average age of first-time home buyers are coming in, that it's not slowing up, it's getting bigger. So I think people need to understand, if I'm a seller, I'm looking at it and saying, hey, man, this is going to create even more demand, right? Then you factor in rent, because I have a lot of people that are like, well, man, should I just rent? Should I just, maintain that and I'll just keep renting? Well, if you look at this, the single family rents for single family homes, the rent rates are up 12.6% year over year in January. So it's like, hey, rent rates are rising faster than interest rates, faster than inflation. So it's like, is that a better solution? Heck no, not especially when you're looking at appreciation rates, which I think there was a slide in here, which to be honest with you, I love this slide as well. This was just more talking about the origin, how many loans were originated in 2000 versus what they're forecasting into the future in 2023. You had a lot of, when rates dropped, and here's the thing too, the feds have jumped in, and this is kind of what's creating this unique situation that we've got right now, because when COVID shut everything down in 2020, the Fed started buying mortgage-backed securities and U.S. Treasuries to the tune of like 60 to 120 billion a month. And then you couple that with, so they're buying mortgage-backed securities, so they're creating the demand, which is what's driving interest rates low, right? And that's what caused these rates to go into the twos, and everybody's been refinancing. Well, then all of a sudden inflation's, like, to your point, your friends talking about spending that much money on avocados, it's insane, right? So people are like, yeah, I'm not going to do it, right? So they're not, so it's driving things down, right? It's bringing it back to balance, and the feds are driving the federal funds rate. Please understand this, the federal funds rate is not It's not necessarily, I mean, it is impacting mortgage rates, but that's just one tranche of it. It's really what the federal funds rate, when they're talking about, hey, they're driving that up. Most people think, oh my God, that's going to drive mortgage rates through the roof. That's not necessarily what is. What is they're, you know, what's the balance sheets of the Fed. And they're talking about, hey, we're going to have to sell off some of this. You know, we have too much. Right. Hey, in addition to that, we're not going to be buying mortgage-backed securities. We're going to pull the emergency brake. We're going to stop buying mortgage-backed securities. We're going to sunset that, and we're going to mess with the federal funds rate to try and tame inflation. So all that stuff is to try and slow inflation down. But you still see positive, you know, you still see from a projection standpoint as far as originations go, it's still humming along, right?
Right. I mean, I remember when we bought our first house. It was like 6%, I think, and I thought that was fantastic.
Let me tell you, I bought my first house.
Will say she started real estate when interest rates were 13%. So,
right.
You know.
I literally remember, like, I swear, I remember our first house. We got 7.25%, and I remember I thought I'd robbed the bank. You know what I mean? I was like, oh my God, I got 7.25%. Can you believe it? So people have been conditioned to have rates in the 2s because they've been there for so long. You know, a high interest rate environment somewhere in the 5s and 6s. So there was another slide. I don't know if you've got that as far as like forecasting out what interest rates are going to look like. But, you know, do I feel like rates are going to be, this is what I see, and this is my opinion. You're going to see interest rates. This is great. You know, so May of 2022, you've got interest rates that are, you know, in the low 5s. I feel like they're going to rise as we continue through the remainder of the years. They're going to be somewhere in, you know, the high 5s, low 6s. But I also feel very strongly that we are headed towards a recession with what's going on with inflation and what's going on with what that's going to do as the borrowing cost of companies and to us as individuals goes up, our spending goes down. There will see, but it's not going to be close to what it was in 2007. And so what will happen is rates are going to come back down. So please understand when whether you're thinking about buying or selling a house, it might be a 2-step process. You might take a loan at a rate in the 5s, but know that when we have this, guess what? The Fed is pushing the federal funds rate up right now. And that's one of the key things that they use on curbing that, on bringing rates down. So they start lowering the federal funds rate, lowering the cost of borrowing money to companies, and all that stuff will bring interest rates down. So we might see rates in the low 4s, high 3s. So guess what? To me, it's exciting because we're going to have they're forecasting 10 or 15% appreciation in 2022. Giddy up. Let's go get the house because you're going to be, you know, you got $500,000 house today, 10% appreciation, you gain 50 grand in 1 year. When the recession comes, guess what? They're still forecasting positive appreciation. They're still forecasting that we're going to have somewhere between 2 and 5% appreciation. So that's still, we're not losing money like we did in 2007 where property values dropped 20%. That's not the case. There's just not enough inventory on the market. So this was a great too.
And I like this slide. I stole this from our RE/MAX company meeting. Thank you, Karush. You guys are the best. This is from Freddie Mac, and it just kind of shows over the course of history, right? As rates have gone up, home prices went up, right? And then this next slide, because obviously cause and effects, yes, the prices went up, but home sales went down. So, you know, it'll be really interesting to see what this looks like for 2022, 2023, because, you know, I know home sales are down because we have less inventory. And, you know, one of the conversations I'm sure I have and you have a lot is, you know, people are losing buying power with rates going up. And I think that's a concern because, you know, a lot of twice this past week, I've heard the term, it's a new term, it's called, and I have it in a slide, but now I'm going all over the place. I'm getting excited. They called it seller-driven pricing. So as an agent, when we see a home that's been on the market 11 days, we're like, what is wrong with this house? Like, what is going on? And both of them respond seller-driven, you know, the seller wouldn't listen to us, like they wanted to price it super high, you know, thinking that people are going to go crazy. And, you know, I will say a lot of agents are being great with their pricing and they're anticipating that bidding war. Because, I mean, I have some clients under contract and we showed the house and I'm like, why is this price so low? But I feel, you know, in a way, because, you know, in these cases, they ended up, unfortunately, having to pay a lot over list to get it in the bidding war. But they ended up kind of around what I think is fair market value, maybe just a tad more. So you also see a lot of that where people might think, oh, things are on the market a while. But the average days on market for Charlotte is 4. The national average is 18. And, we're still, and then I went and I'm very proud of myself. I put this together. So we have something called showing time, which is a data, here, Jeff, I'll give you a break. All right. So then that we can maybe see. So this is showing activity. So as an agent, we're able to go in and I use this a lot for listing appointments to see if there's a difference if I price the home at $499 or, 10,000 above, like where are the buyers? So you can see here in April, the amount of showings in each price point. And this is kind of for the Charlotte, Fort Mill, Weddington, Waxhaw area. I just pulled like that section. Okay. And really the only price points where we're seeing less is in red, the 350 to 400, the 600,000, and then the $1 million price point. So I feel like the areas that it's hurting more is at 600,000 and above. And I think that maybe has a lot more to do with rates, because a rate at a higher price point, that's a lot of money, right? Wouldn't you agree with that?
Significant. And that's the thing. I mean, when we're talking to potential buyers, honestly, the driver, their main concern is rate and payment. What is my all-in payment? Because they're living on a budget, right? It's like, hey, money in, net every 2 weeks, every month, bi-weekly. This is what's dropped into my checking account. This is what, after expenses, this is what we feel comfortable affording towards a mortgage payment all in. And so, as rates go up, they're having to drop their price to go, to keep the payment where they want. Or what we've seen a lot lately is, clients moving a little bit further out, so they're like, hey, you know what? We don't necessarily, I wanted to be in Charlotte, but maybe we need to go look a little bit further outside the city and find something that we can get a little bit more bang for the buck. So like it's, especially with remote work and people can kind of, live where they want. I've seen a ton of that over the last year and a half. Right.
And then this slide is just new listings. So March, there was this many listings, and then you can see it's not like this drastic drop for April. No, and this is Canopy MLS is huge. So this is if you see the term MSA, that's like Charlotte and all the areas around it. So that's kind of what that number means. And for anyone watching, if you have comments, you can type it in the comment box. At the end, we'll answer your questions. And then this slide, basically the price per square foot only went up $3 from April to May. So didn't drop. We're still, trucking along. And then this is a great slide just showing new construction, because I really feel what's going to slowly get us out of this is, remember when things slowed down in 2007 to 2013, new construction stopped. Anyone who was a builder or knew someone in the build, I mean, there was none of that was going on. So when that happened, we weren't creating the infrastructure in the homes to be prepared for the massive growth and the baby boomers downsizing and the millennials buying. So right here, you can see, we're just now back to, if you look at the edge here, this 2020 up here, this is in the red. This is right before everything tanked. So we're not even close. We're not even close.
Yeah.
So if in the future they're saying somewhere in here, there's a slide, I'll get to in a second, but this was cool. I screenshotted this 5 minutes before we went on. We see, this is a lot, and this is just for, because I have my desktop for MLS set just to really the areas I work in. Yeah. So it's not going to be like Gastonia and Belmont, but I'll go there if you need to go there. But at any rate, so for my little areas I like to focus on today, we have 211 coming soon, 456 new listings, and look at the price decreases. So I'm pretty sure those are those seller-driven pricing folks. So, again, listen to your realtor. If it's not me, well, I'm going to be heartbroken if it's not me. But if it's not me, because you have a really good reason, just let them do a proper CME. I spend like 2 hours pricing a house. So sidetrack, but pricing your house is super important in this market, in any market. Oh, then this was my fancy slide, but we already talked about it. So I'm going to skip that. And just takeaways of what we're seeing. Certain price points are seeing less showings. The average days on market is 4 compared to 18 at the national level. Our price per square foot's gone up only $3. More listings are hitting as we speak, and more homes are being built. And this was annual home, and I think this is what you were talking about, Jeff.
Yeah.
So this is showing like we're right here, right? Appreciation of what they're forecasting. So the appreciation is just, I mean, imagine if things go up, but they're just not going to go up as much. So if we're not going to see the craziness we saw last year.
Well, listen, we're having clients also, Danielle, to couple that. We're having a lot of clients that have reached out to us that are like, hey, I'm sitting a lot of market and I've got a lot of money in the market and I see what's happening. And I feel very strongly that we're going to, you know, what does it look like if we pulled some out and started to invest in homes? And there's a reason that you've got a lot of these hedge fund companies that are coming in from other parts of the country and are gobbling up, what is it, 30% of homes are getting gobbled up in cash by hedge funds. So like, and guess what? They're planting renters in there. So it's like, hey, you know what? There's not a shot on that, but like they're betting on the Charlotte market. They're betting on the greater surrounding counties. They're betting on this market. So we should be too. There's no reason to be putting on the sidelines. There's no reason if your rent rates are going up 12%, and which is beating inflation, which is beating the interest rate rising environment. And you're still the worst case when you're seeing we're still going to have positive forecasted appreciation, even in the economic, when we're down into a recessionary period, man, get me in a house. And I'll ride this wave while we're running 12, 13, 10% appreciation, 6.5% appreciation. That's going to beat the pants off what you're going to get in the market.
Right. And, I've had a lot of listings recently that is that, sweet spot that, 320 to 400,000 price point. And within a day, I would say all of us agents are getting 5 offers from these institutional investors, never seen the house. It's still incoming soon, cash, and they're over list. So, I had one that sold, I think it was listed at 329. It sold to 376 to an investor who never saw the house. Right. Yeah. And then I have another one that was 329 and the highest investor offer was 374. Whatever. It's like a $10,000 difference. I should have had this on my note card. But the point is there was a first-time home buyer at 355. And the seller was like, you know what? I bought this house for $50,000 like 30 years ago. Yeah. And, she really wanted to give it to the first-time home buyer. But that's what breaks my heart is if that wasn't that unique situation, any normal seller is like, I don't want to say any normal, but most people, if they're going to make $10,000 more, they're going to sell it to whoever that is. It doesn't matter if it's an investor or an actual buyer. So that's the hard part for all of us buyers agents is, we're competing with that and just having to get really creative, with our buyers to beat these guys. And I would say,
there's creative strategies that are out here for potential clients that are kicking tires and thinking about it, and I've talked to a guy just last night and we ran through some different scenarios on what they could do as far as, tapping in, an equity line and covering the down payment on the new house and recasting. And what does that look like? We also talked about Fairways just rolled out a cash guarantee. I think we're one of the only lenders in the country that's doing that right now, where we'll do a full TBD underwrite on you, take every ounce of anxiety off the plate. We back it in cash, meaning if something happens from that point forward, you lose your job, something crazy happens, we'll pay cash for the house at closing. So that way, you're covered. And then we've also been talking about Ribbon. Ribbon will come in. It's a third-party company that will literally up to $1 million. They'll fund the loan in cash. They'll buy the house for you. And then they'll lease it back to you at a set rate. And then you can buy it back from them once, because I've had people that are like, hey, you know what? I've got 4 dogs and 3 kids. And the idea of that, it sounds insane. So they used Ribbon, bought the house in cash, rented, and literally moved all their stuff into the new house, staged and fixed up their current house, sold their house for $50,000 more than what they were expecting. So then they were able to pay Ribbon their fee and they got their new house. I've had Ribbon where they charge 1% if you close with financing. So I've seen a lot of things where people are like, man, I didn't realize that was an option. Gosh, I only wish that we had reached out to Danielle or to Jeff and had some conversations, because I would have done this a long time ago. Had no clue this was an option. So definitely.
Yeah, there's a lot of cool options out there, and it does break my heart when people just sell to these companies for cash, and you see it. They sold to this company for $320,000, and then 2 weeks later they listed at $370,000, and then it sells at $420,000 in multiple offers. Like that seller just lost like $50,000-$60,000 or whatever the math is. I'm like, do not call them. Do not listen to the commercials. Those commercials are lying.
Right.
So,
they're a marketing company. Say no more. That's what they do. It's super frustrating.
I know. Well, just a real quick to close out. This is like a pretty slide, just showing you kind of what's going on in some of the areas around that I like to help people in. And you guys can read, so I'm not going to read them. That's Fort Mills numbers right there. We got lovely city of Charlotte right there. And you can see,
wow, average sales price is up 15%. That's amazing.
And this is probably March's numbers, because this was done, produced April 5th, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And then this, okay, so just to clarify, this is like city of Charlotte. And then this is like for Canopy MLS, like all the areas probably around Charlotte. So you can see it goes down.
Interesting.
But in closing, on behalf of Jeff and I, we really just, I really just wanted to do this because I just hear stuff, I see stuff, and it drives me mad because I feel like you, the consumer, you're getting mixed messaging. And just remember, when it comes to real estate, it's hyper local. So, what you're seeing on the news on whatever your national network of choice is, that's not hyper local to Charlotte. And Forbes has this ranked as one of the top places to live. Wells Fargo is bringing their employees from California, is basically giving them an ultimatum, like, you need to get in Charlotte. Companies are moving here. I mean, this is a hot place. So I know it's unique, but we're here to help you. So I'll let everyone go and just go.
Can I say something to you real quick?
Can
I say one more thing?
Oh, yeah.
Because I feel it's very important that in the market that we're in right now, it has never been more important to align yourself with the absolute professional who knows the market, knows the data, can educate you, can guide you. There's so many spinning plates. Danielle and their team, obviously one of the best in the country, not just in this market. So you definitely need to reach out, because they're the ones that are going to shepherd you and guide you in this market and get you in at the best rate, the best possible terms. And they've got a great reputation. So it's a huge thing in this market on getting contracts accepted. So she's one of the best I've ever worked with on that. So seriously, I'm shameless plug there for you, but it's true. So.
Well, thank you. And hold on, let me see if we have any comments. I think everyone's being shy. Chat.
It happens.
No one asked any questions. So if you have questions, you know where to reach me. And do me a favor, like the video, comment on the video, and you get major brownie points if you share the video.
Love it.
Brownie points. All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in. And remember, I'm here for you if you need me.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks, Jeff.
See ya.
See ya. Bye.